So was the culture of Manassas just as intertwined with Booker T. Washington? Was
The coach,
the culture like was going to Manassas? Did people who go to Manassas have just as much pride as people who went to Booker T. Washington, and were there interaction among the two schools and
um, go back and do that one again. Talk a little louder.
was there was were Manassas and Booker T. Washington, because Floyd Newman talked about how there was so much unity. Was Booker T. Washington and Manassas like united in any way?
Huh? No, they were rivalries from all the way because we have our reunion. What we did was one time we at the reunion at the Martin Luther King Center down there, we got a casket and we had a real casket brought in and we buried Booker Washington School. We had our mourning outfits on. We actually buried them. But that's been going on all the years. But we have a lot of people from Booker Washington married people from Manassas, and people from Manassas married from Booker Washington. But that was just a school thing where they're doing the fight and stuff, you know. And I guess that's what made it really exciting, I guess. I don't know.
You also mentioned Manassas being left out of something. You know, we never hear about George Washington Carver High School being brought up in the conversation.
Booker T. Washington?
George Washington Carver High
Well,
School.
Carver High School came later.
Mm.
So you only had two schools at one time, and that was Manassas and Booker Washington. And you had a couple of teachers that taught at both of the schools at the same time. They would be at this school 2 days a week and be at that school 2 days a week. So you had A.C. Williams, which was a radio DJ. He called him Muha. He taught, and what's the other? It was two of them, but they taught at both of the schools at the same time, but different days. And I guess that's because the Board of Education didn't have money to pay them for two separate schools, so they rotated, you know.
Do you have any special memories or most fun memories about high school
Yeah,
that you'd like to share?
yeah. It was the best time I had a chance to walk to the school because I couldn't go nowhere else. Just to walk in from Klondike to come into Manassas, you pass the Jackson Cookie Company. You get the free cookies because the guys are throwing the pretty girls the cookies out there. And we come there at school, but you could stand around and socialize at school. Of course, I couldn't go nowhere else, and that was the best place in the world for me to be, was at school. So I don't know how anybody else felt about school, but I loved school. That was my outlet, and I took advantage of it. I don't think I was an extra smart girl, uh, academic wise, but I still did my work, and I learned a lot of things. And the teachers were always so nice to the kids. You could talk to the teacher like it was one of you. You just had to respect them, you know. But you could always stop and talk to a teacher. A teacher would stop and talk to you, or they'd pick you up on the way to school or take you back. And some of the teachers lived in the neighborhood, you know. But the music, Mr. Hobson, as a matter of fact, he came from the same part of Somerville, Tennessee, where I came from. But I didn't know that when I was in school, though. And Colby Smith came. His mother was raised up with my mother. I didn't know that until I was out of school. They talked during the day. While we were at school, we never know they socialized with each other. But that's the difference in people from what they are now, you know. But the school was such a place to go where you enjoyed going. And I think everybody I knew did, because everybody loves Manassas, same way about Booker Washington, you know. But ask me something else.
The pride that you have in Manassas, is it just because it's your alma mater, or because you think it was a real focal point?
It was a real focal point. I mean, at that school, when you came out of school, I didn't finish there. I finished in Chicago. But when you came out of that school, the principals had connections with the people that had the businesses in the community. And they put money in the school for scholarships for the ones that wanted to go to school. And the ones that didn't go to school, they needed a job. And Mr. Hobson or Mr. Tiggs or whatever they was, he said, look, I got 9 boys here that need a job. You gonna put them to work? And put them to work. You had a box company right behind there. I found all this stuff out later. But all of the businesses around there, is huge amount of businesses around there, so the people were never without jobs. Everybody had a car, everybody had their own home. You know, where we rent, I never slept in a rental house until I went to Chicago. Everybody owned their own homes. They were not what you would call the top grade, but it was to us. We didn't know we were actually poor. We didn't know that. Because everybody had jobs and they paid well. So their families did well. So the school was just a wonderful place for everybody. The teachers, the principals, the students, and the people from the community. Because the people that lived in the community communicated with the school. So if you went out down the street and Mr. So-and-so saw you, Reverend Taylor, I saw Earlice down there on such and such street. There wasn't no such thing because they don't tell on you. So you knew not to go there. You know? It was just a place, it was like a big old place of family or something. Wonderful.
Thriving in Manassas like you did, how did you prepare yourself to start singing professionally?